So today we're going to talk about sciatica, or having pain running down your leg, running through your hip, out of your back. First of all, we're not here to diagnose you. I would encourage you to go to a doctor, physiotherapist, someone who can assess you properly and determine if that's in fact what you have. Is it a sciatica problem, or is it more of a muscular problem? You may have heard of the piriformis muscle causing similar symptoms in your hip and into your leg. All right, so sciatica comes from the nerves coming out of your spine up here, and they travel down your leg. The symptoms coming from piriformis syndrome feel the same because that nerve that comes out of here is the same nerve that's being pressed on by the piriformis, just lower down here in your hip. So the symptoms can feel similar because the same nerve is being pressed upon, but it's being pressed upon by different structures. So up higher, it's being pressed on by the nerve, or by the discs onto the nerve roots where they come out, or lower down here in your hip where the muscle is putting pressure on the nerve and causing similar symptoms. A lot of people are sitting at desks all the time, having weak core muscles, bad posture, possibly getting a disc bulge that's causing you to have sciatica. So we can go through some things to determine some of those simple things you can do at home to assess yourself if you may think that's what you have, in relation to having tight muscles in your hip that may be causing similar symptoms, and generally caused by the same kind of activities: inactivity, sitting too long, sitting cross-legged, tightening up the muscles in your hip that can cause pressure on the sciatic nerve and give you those symptoms. So having said all that, let's get started and figure out what's going on for you and what we can do to help you. If you're feeling like you have this pain that's shooting into your leg, that may be a sign in itself to determine the difference between if it's actually sciatica, you're having a disc problem. So between your vertebrae, there's discs. That disc slight bulge can come out and hit the nerve root where it comes out of your spine, putting pressure on the nerve and causing you kind of burning or shooting or stabbing kind of pains that travel down your leg, maybe positioned in one spot in your foot or in your calf, that are constantly being in pain from having the pressure on the nerve root. Simple things you can do to determine if maybe that's a possibility: something like a Valsalva maneuver is called, where you hold your breath and bear down as if you're going to have a bowel movement or push. That kind of pressure may put more pressure on the nerve and exacerbate that feeling that you're having. Another thing you can do is called a slump test. So first of all, you want to straighten out your leg as if you're going to stretch that leg, and if you start to feel some more pain, say in your calf, in your foot, the back of your leg, that may be an indicator right there that it's being caused by a disc problem in your back. If you don't feel that right away, you can bend your chin forward, and that again may cause some increased pain either in your back, the back of your leg, down into your calf, maybe into your foot. Something to pay attention to if that's getting worse when you do that. Again, if maybe it's not really making those symptoms worse, then you can kind of slump forward like this through your abdomen, like you're flexing forward, like you're going to do a hamstring stretch. That may flare up the symptoms a lot at that point, make them feel a lot worse. And again, this might be an indicator that you actually have a disc problem, and I would suggest getting a proper diagnosis from your doctor. Going forward, it may be that you do this test and it's kind of vague. You feel some tension, you feel slightly more pain. It may be what we've called before the pseudo sciatica, more of a muscular tension going on in your hip. Piriformis muscle is generally sort of the muscle that causes that. There's some other external rotators in your hip and your glute muscles that can add to the tension that's going on in the hip, limiting your range of motion, putting some pressure where the sciatic nerve passes out underneath your glutes and down into your leg. If it is tension from this, from sitting, from maybe exercise you've done, caused some strain, the muscles become tight and sore, maybe it's become weak, that can all cause the similar symptoms down into the leg. You can do some things that we're going to go through here to either stretch out that muscle, trying to increase the range of motion in the hip and loosen that muscle and see if that alleviates your symptoms. And that may be an indicator that it's just a muscular problem and not in fact a disc problem. Generally, if you've you've actually having sciatica happening and you're flexing forward, you're feeling the pain in your leg and you're wanting to stretch out your leg. That's something you don't want to do because it's most likely going to make your symptoms feel worse. Stretching that nerve that's already being irritated. So you want to do some things that are opposite that, going into extension. First thing in the morning I suggest before you get out of bed is to do a little bit of movement to get some blood going into the muscles and around the area that are tight and sore before you actually get up and start moving. Probably help you feel better before you just stand up and put pressure on that nerve. So before you get out of bed, we're gonna get down here and wake up in the morning, and maybe you've been sleeping on your side or on your back. You're in this position, you wake up and you don't want to just jump out of bed. So I suggest getting up and doing these windmill exercises or windshield wiper exercises, just rotating just gently into a range of motion here, just to get some motion going in your lumbar spine. Getting some blood flowing around the disc and the nerve that's being irritated. Gentle things like this. Again, you don't want to flex into your lumbar spine. So just some gentle motion like that. And then coming around, and we've talked about this before, doing the Mackenzie exercises. So before you get out of bed, what you want to do is come into some extension like this. So you can come up and hold this gentle and let yourself down and coming back up. And maybe go through 5 to 10 repetitions, nice gentle extensions in your spine. So what this is going to do is, as we extend here in our spine like this is going to help pull the disc back away from the nerve as we extend our lumbar spine. If we flex our lumbar spine, it's going to press on the disc and push it backwards and put more pressure on the nerve. So if we extend, this action like this is trying to pull the disc back away from the nerve and give you some relief before you stand up. Go through a couple of those, the windshield wiper exercises, do some extensions, and then stand up and see how you feel. You've gotten up in the morning, you're moving about your day, and you want to do some specific exercises to help yourself feel better throughout the day. Give your back a break. Just take some pressure off the nerve. There's a couple things we're going to do here on the floor you can do at home. You can have, this is like a yoga cushion or a yoga block. You can roll up a towel if you need to. This is just to take some pressure off your lower back. You don't want to go into flexion if you're really having a lot of discomfort in your back and down in your legs. So what you can do here is just take this block, if it's the yoga block or a cushion like this, and basically just below your lower back on your sacrum, where those two dimples are in your back, that's your sides of your sacrum, and just put your back and rest on here like this. And then just try to let your back relax as you exhale. You can keep your feet on the ground at this point and then just feel a slight little tilt in your pelvis, and you'll feel some nice traction on your lower back. It's going to create some space there. Just try to relax like this and breathe in through your nose and gently out through your mouth, and just let everything relax in your lower back. If that feels good, you can also, at some point, if it feels all right for you, just to bring up your legs and put a little bit more of a traction feeling on there. If that feels uncomfortable, just go back to having your feet on the ground and just trying to relax in this position. That helps. Again, do that for, you can do it for a number of minutes if you like, just gently breathing and letting your back relax. And then we can go back into doing some more of these extension exercises that are going to help relieve your lower back. It's nice to do this on the sofa. I like to do this one when my back is sore. Generally sitting all the time and having tight hip flexors is going to cause some problems, as well as just pulling down on your spine, pushing your discs backwards. So it's a nice little movement you can do here. Come here and put your feet up on the sofa and come down flat into this position. Again, we're going to do some of these extension exercises here. Again, you can just come nice and gently, just lift yourself up and hold into that extension. You can engage your glutes a little bit as you do that, and then relax and come back down, lifting yourself back up. Go through, again, 5 or 10 repetitions like this. And then what I like to do as well is, after I've done some of those, is to come up and just get some motion going through the hips. And then I'll come up into extension again, just to get some fluidity happening in your lower back, opening up your glutes, opening up your lower back, getting that extension in your hips. You can sort of play around with how this feels, getting some almost kind of wave action going in your spine, just to get some relief happening from all that tension, the muscles that are pulling down on the discs. And again, if that's uncomfortable for you, don't do it. So you want to try it, see how it feels. If you get some relief, that's a good sign. If it feels more uncomfortable or you tighten up afterwards, then I would suggest not doing that exercise. So the final thing you can do here, if you're feeling tension in that nerve that actually feels like sciatica, is called flossing. So you've done this and you've done this, and that recreates your symptoms. It's painful. So what we can do is called flossing. So we want to, instead of stretching the nerve, which will aggravate it, we want to slide the nerve back and forth in this manner. So that nerve comes all the way up here into your hip, into your spine, which attaches all the way up to your brain in the nervous system. So what we're going to do here, the leg flexed, our chin dropped down, and then we're going to basically move in this way, nice and slowly. And that's going to slide the nerve back and forth, taking some tension off the nerve, which is causing tension in the muscles and causing pain. So this will help with the flow, how the nerve works inside the nerve, and then relaxing the muscles that it's innervating and help alleviate the pain that you're feeling. So we'll go through this. You can do nice and gently, 10 reps on one side, do both sides, maybe do 3 sets on each side, and then let me know how that feels. Now we can do a few things to work on the piriformis muscle to alleviate the pressure that's being put on the nerve. When their hips are tight, your glutes are tight, you can come into this simple stretch to do a stretch on the piriformis muscle. So laying on your back and simply bringing that knee up and across, and you'll feel this stretch in here. Or you may feel sore and tight, so you can work on this by just having a nice stretch here. Maybe put a block behind your head and make yourself more relaxed. Just get a nice stretch in here, and you can do a bit of contract relax, it's called. So pull the muscle into a stretch, and then basically push your knee away from, or into your hand, trying to push your leg back out in this direction. So come into a nice stretch, and then push out, hold it for 5-6 seconds, and then come back into the stretch. And you can do a round of 3 or 4 like this. Pull it till you have a nice stretch, then push back out, hold it for 5 or 6 seconds, and then come back into the stretch. So after doing maybe a round of 3 or 4 stretches like that, and get up and see what you feel like. The symptoms in your leg may feel better as you worked on releasing that muscle, stretching it out. Maybe pulling the stretch at the time will feel sore when you do it, but then as you release it, it'll feel better. You can try doing this as well, sitting up from that position and doing this stretch here, as long as this doesn't aggravate anything in your back or aggravate the symptoms, and coming here and pulling to stretch out this part of your hip as well. It's just something you can add on if it's something that feels comfortable. Try that one out. What we're going to do here is use the ball to release those trigger points, the muscle, the piriformis muscle, and see if that helps alleviate some of your symptoms. So coming here with the ball, taking it onto the side of your hip, and basically roll into where you find the spot that are sore, and just let the weight of your hip lay on the ball. You may recreate those symptoms going down your leg. Right now I got some referral coming out of that muscle into my leg. So you just want to lay on that ball, relax, breathe into it, try to relax the muscle, wait till you feel those symptoms start to decrease. The muscle starts to relax. So as you start to feel that ease off, then you can come out of that and move the ball further out, more into the center of that muscle. Again, roll onto the muscle, feel the referral pattern, and wait for those symptoms to dissipate, and then move on to the next one. So basically you're moving the ball from here, the edge of your sacrum, and you're going to move it basically along between your hip and the edge of that bone in the center here, and just find the spots that hurt and possibly recreate your symptoms. You can come from this position. You could sit on the ball like this as well if you wanted a little bit more pressure onto the ball, and that way you can just move around and find those spots and release them. Again, hold them till you just feel the soreness, maybe feel some of those symptoms in your leg, and as that starts to release, that's the muscle relaxing, and then you can come off of it. We can try this also standing up on the wall. Put the ball against the wall, just use the weight of your body, and you can move around a little bit easier this way. If I position it and find those spots that are sore, and again, just leaning your body into the ball, feeling the symptoms arise, and then as they start to ease off, then just move the ball into another spot along that muscle and repeat the same thing. Feel the pressure, feel the discomfort. As it starts to feel better, then you can release it. You can come back out after doing some of the work with the ball and do some of those stretches after you've released the ball, or released with the ball. You can do some of the stretching afterwards, and then move around, see how the symptoms in your leg feel. If that's releasing those symptoms, then we can kind of safely say that the tight muscles in your hip are creating what you may think is sciatica. So another possibility with the piriformis muscle that could be creating pain in your hip is that it's weak and it's tight because it's weak. So exercise we can do after we've done some of these release techniques, the stretching techniques, is do something to strengthen that muscle. And you may have heard of doing clamshell exercises. It's pretty simple. You're going to lay on your side, get a cushion to support your head, bring yourself into kind of a 90-90 position here with your pelvis and your knees, and one foot on top of the other, and then basically you're going to externally rotate this hip. So you're contracting that muscle to lift your leg up. And hold it up there, hold it for 5 or 6 seconds, and then release it down. And again, you want to do maybe 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, maybe 15. You want to get the muscle to feel fatigued, under pressure, and then do a round of say 2-3 sets like this, and then see how that feels going forward along with the other exercises that you're doing. With either of these conditions, whether it's sciatica or pseudo sciatica, your hips are going to feel tight and sore most likely. So here's an exercise we can do to work on stretching those external rotators, putting some more range of motion, ease of motion in the hips, and help release the tension in the back, as well as possibly the symptoms that you're feeling in your leg. So you may have, if you've ever done yoga, done something similar to this. If you've heard of doing the exercise where you bring, what's it called again, where you, this figure 4 kind of exercise like this. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to come into this position here. Again, get a nice neutral position in your spine. Just kind of rotate your pelvis a little bit and then come into neutral here. So if you're able to come up like this into flexion and it not be painful, you can do that. And basically what you're going to do here is then push this knee away from you, and you're going to get some stretch into that hip. So we can do the same thing here we did with the contract relax. You can again push your knee back into your hand, just gently, like maybe 10% of your strength, and then relax and push that hip back out. And again, push back into your hand and then push back out, let it relax. If coming like high up into flexion like this is painful, you can move over, basically just put the leg up against the edge of a sofa like this, or on a wall corner, someplace you can find that's comfortable, and then do the same thing. Just press this out without flexing your back so much. And again, push in and then relax. So this is going to stretch out those external rotators, help release your hips some and take some pressure off your back. All right, so you've been through the video now, and what we've determined is sciatica, what may be pseudo-sciatica. Hopefully some of these things have helped you. If they are helping you, continue on with them. If you feel like you've actually got sciatica, I suggest getting a diagnosis from a doctor or a physiotherapist. They can give you some more exercises to do on top of these. In the meantime, if you're feeling some relief from here, continue with those. Let me know how they've helped you. I hope they've helped you. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments and we can help you further in another video.